Welcome to Faith Fridays from a Steadfast Faith. Continue our mini-series on Acts of Faith and sharing our faith from Acts chapter 17. And this week will be in verse 24. Verse 24 says, "The God who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by man." Paul, as he's addressing the crowd here on Mars Hill, or the Areopagus in Athens, having been run out of the last town, having been proclaiming Christ crucified in the synagogue, in the marketplace, been taken to the top of the hill, and is using their religion to introduce Christ to them. And the first thing he does is he introduces it to them a God that is bigger than their conception. If you look at it, each one of us, we have a God who is too small. Even as Christians, we struggle with this. We box God into too small. We see him as us, just greater, when really we are like him, but much, much smaller. And here, Paul introduces them to the God, not the God as they would understand it, that would make the water over here, or this God would make the land over here, or this would be the God of the sky over there. No, this is the God who didn't just make a piece of creation, but he made everything, not only this world, but is also, as he describes him, Lord of heaven and earth, completely sovereign and in control. Using a word here, Lord, that would denote, for the Jew, God, but for the Greek here, a term in the Greek language that means a ruler, a lord, someone who is over us, a Caesar, as it were, even for the Romans. One who's in control, one who rules and reigns. And not only that, but he continues with the thought, standing in the middle of all these temples, he says, "And this same God does not live in temples made by man." That is, God, this God, the true God, cannot be contained in a temple, a physical temple made by human hands, because he is the only God, the Almighty God, who is everywhere present all the time. And so Paul starts on a very critical piece of information and expands their view of God from being just this little boxed God, this little God that we can bow down to in a temple and go see him, to the God that is invisible and everywhere and is both creator and reigns over all creation. And this is how Paul starts to introduce Christ to these people using their religion, because he's taking their concept of God, this little God, we have temples everywhere, and expanding it to, no, let me tell you about the real God, the one who's not just this little God over here, but who is the creator and ruler of everything. And so we can do the same thing. Each one of us know people, even ourselves at times, struggle with having a God too small. And their religion, their belief, whatever it is, even if it's themselves, their God is very small. And we need to introduce people using their beliefs to the God who is too big for us to comprehend. So I hope this helps, especially as you go through the Christmas season, and you'll be able to use this to talk to your family and your friends as you get together to celebrate Christmas, and explain to them, here's the one God who is bigger than we can imagine, just as Paul did here on Mars Hill. Continue to follow us on Facebook and on our website for updates, and we look forward to hearing from you, and as we get to go and minister in Cache County as the Lord allows. Have a good week.